Trapper! Drag 677 down! Bomber eliminated! Stand ready! The beneficent Emperor is with us! Have a grenade, heretics! Trapper's gate! It's just faith that kills, so it else. Bastion 220 combat stunts! That's what the training's for.
What's up everyone, Kaipus here again with another Darktide Veteran guide. Today we're going full Krieger with a build I call the Trench Sweeper. If you'd just like to check out the build or look at the tree while you listen, you can find it linked in the description below. We'll also be going through it in depth after we look at the weapons. Speaking of weapons, today for our secondary weapon, our gun, we're taking the M35 Magnacore Mark II plasma gun. Everybody knows the plasma gun, it's a ton of fun, it's very popular, but this is going to make it do a lot of work. As you can see in the intro, you're able to just clear rooms with it, you can clutch with it. It's just a fantastic weapon, and the main reason we're taking it is to be as general purpose as possible. You can run other guns with Executioner stance, but I feel like the plasma gun is just never going to let you down. Regardless of what team comp you have, or what level you're on, the plasma gun is always going to be good. So with that said, for the perks, we're going to be taking flak damage and maniac damage. The flak damage is going to help us hit certain breakpoints, like one-shotting gunners to the body when we have Executioner stance up. Maniac is going to help us always make sure we can deal with trappers, flamers, mutants, those kinds of things when they're coming towards our team. With Executioner stance up, we'll be killing mutants in 2 body hits, and most everything else with 1 body hit. And if you can hit him in the head, even better. For our blessings, we're going to be taking Gets Hot, and I'm using Volatile, but I would recommend you use Shattering Impact if you have it. It's just going to give you a little bit more damage, and volatile is honestly kind of a weak blessing. It's just the most important thing is to get the 2 perks, flak damage and maniac damage. For our melee weapon, we're going to be using the standard issue Munitorum Sapper Shovel, the classic Krieg weapon. And I've recently fallen in love with this weapon. I've been using the chain sword, the power sword, the combat axes a lot recently. And so when I decided to give the shovel an honest try, I found out that it's actually really good for Executioner stance veterans. The heavy attack on the swing is very fast. In fact, the weapon in general is very fast. It has a good amount of stagger. It has really good blessings like Uncanny Strike and Take a Swing. And for our perks, we're going to be using against Infested to help with Horde Clear, and Flak Armored also kind of to help with Horde Clear. You know, you don't want to be taking like 8 strikes to kill a Scab Bruiser or something, so taking flak damage can just make sure that dealing with all the chaff enemies is easy and smooth. Uncanny Strike and Take a Swing also come in clutch with that. You're going to be able to deal with any horde that comes up no matter what. And for any elite enemies that try to trouble you, that's what you have your plasma gun for. For our Curios, we're going to be taking 1 max health with toughness regen, speed, stamina regen, and damage resistance against gunners. We're taking gunner resistance on all of our Curios because, again, we don't have voice of command or infiltrate, so our toughness is very precious. We don't want it to break because we don't have a way to immediately get it back up. So being able to take less damage from gunners means that we can use our shovel to push enemies around, we can dodge around, we can avoid most melee damage, so the only real damage we're going to be taking is, getting shot. So we're taking gunner resistance on all 3. Then we're taking 2 toughness curios, mostly with the same thing, toughness regen, stamina regen. It doesn't really matter, just whatever you want. Just bring the 2 toughness curios because you do want a lot of toughness with this. Like I said, if your toughness breaks, we don't have any like emergency button to get it back up. So stacking up extra toughness is always going to be good. Finally, for the talent tree, this is what it looks like. Feel free to pause and copy it if you'd like to. But we're going to be going through some of the important talents in the actual Psychanium. So let's go ahead and do that. So Executioner Stance has a few specific weaknesses, and it is definitely the most neglected of the combat abilities. It gives you 25% extra range damage and 25% extra weak spot damage while highlighting certain enemies. By default, it'll highlight elites and specials minus the Ogrins, but we're also going to be taking the bigger they are so that when we pop Executioner Stance, Ogrins are highlighted. This is mostly to help us maintain our Executioner Stance, as being able to pick out an Ogrin enemy and just kill it in a few shots is generally a pretty reliable way to make sure the Executioner Stance stays up and giving you that damage boost. As for the weaknesses of Executioner Stance, like I said, you don't have a way to bring your toughness back up, or a way to drop aggro off of yourself, so we're going to have to rely on a few different talents. Namely, Close Order Drill, Kill Confirmed, Catch a Breath, and Iron Will. These talents, when put together, are going to make us extremely tanky. We're going to be able to take a hit and regen our toughness once we've taken that hit. All these talents combined, you're actually very tanky, almost on par with Voice of Command, and definitely more so than the majority of Infiltrate builds. To help with making space, we're going to be leading on our Shredder Frag Grenades, with Demolition Team, and most importantly, Grenade Tinkerer. This talent will change your frag grenades from a mild annoyance to a room-clearing beast. The radius is absolutely huge. Check this out. As you can see, it staggered all the enemies, and you can see them just dropping dead. It's also going to give us enough damage from our grenades to kill gunners, both varieties, ragers, shotgunners. It won't kill the scab ragers or any of the specialists in 2 grenades, minus the mutant. So as you can see, with just 2 grenades, it won't even matter if they get flung further away. The bleed stacks are going to kill them both. As you can see, both died from the bleed. So yeah, just 2 grenades will clear out an entire room full of elite enemies. For the final part of the build, I already touched on it a little bit, but we're going to be definitely using the Militarum Sapper Shovel. You can substitute this with whatever melee weapon you're comfortable with, but this has a few things that just make it special. So, first of all, it is a very fast attacking weapon. As you can see with the Veteran, it is almost on par with the knife, and even the heavy attacks come out very, very quick. This allows you to deal with hordes by just pushing once, get that 60% damage from take a swing, and just bonking heads till they're all dead. It's a great weapon. It'll help keep you safe. You can push through big hordes with all the stamina it gives you. It's just super useful for keeping yourself alive when you're running Executioner stance. Final thing I wanted to talk about is how our Keystone focus target combined with focus fire and redirect fire are going to allow us to do an insane amount of supporting to our team. It will give us damage boosts as well, but the main thing that it helps with, in my experience, is like dealing with bosses. For instance, right now I have 8 stacks of focus fire available. So when I tag this Crusher, they're now taking 32% extra damage from all sources, including us and our team. So everybody that shoots this Crusher is going to do 32% more damage to it. Now, if we combine that with killing them, so now that it's dead, you see in the bottom left corner I have those 8 stacks tagged. In total, I think it's an extra about 42% damage. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but those two things combined means your team is doing about 40% bonus damage to bosses because of you. That is enormous. Like, you'll slap that on a boss, see a zealot run up, and they'll just tear the thing to pieces. So we do have a little bit of team play incorporated with this. We also can act as a little bit of a toughness battery for our team through the use of Born Leader. What this talent does is it gives 15% of any toughness we regenerate to our team. Now, this is not going to be a lot, but if your team is taking damage and you're not, or if you're further than 8 meters from enemies, as you can see at the bottom there, when Catch a Breath goes away, or when Catch a Breath is active, this is always giving 5% toughness back to me, and 15% of that to everybody in coherency with me. And in addition, when I kill an elite or special, confirmed kill is going to give them immediate toughness and the back half of the talent where it gives you toughness over time. We'll also be giving it to your team. So as long as you're sticking in the middle of your team, you're paying attention to coherency, not running off on your own, using your shovel and your grenades to make space, you're going to find that this build just tears through enemies. Like, damnation is easy with this, especially when you just come across a hallway of enemies and you can just line them up and blast things down. So anyway, that's the build, that's the guide. I hope y'all have enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more Darktide content. Our next guide, we're actually going to be dipping into the Ogryn class. I'm going to be showing off a 1 million Ogryn damage build that I came up with. After that, we're going to keep going through all the different classes, giving builds and guides for all different kinds of playstyles, and occasionally coming back to Veteran for more veteran-y goodness. I'll also be updating guides as needed for the new patch. The second part of the Carnival patch is coming out soon. So I'm excited, I hope y'all are excited, and yeah, stay tuned for more content. Looking forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Now go slay some heretics. Caiaphas, out.